The Great Lakes are the heart of North America, a vast and shimmering network of freshwater that pulses through the continent's landscape, stretching across the border between the United States and Canada. These lakes are more than just bodies of water. They are the lifeblood of the region, shaping its history, culture, and future. Together, they hold 1/5 of the world's surface fresh water, an astonishing reservoir that sustains not only the people who live along their shores, but also countless communities far beyond. These 5 interconnected lakes, Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario, shape the land, climate, and lives of millions. Their waters flow through a network of rivers and channels, linking cities, towns, and wild spaces in a delicate balance. For centuries, they've been vital highways for trade, carrying goods and people across vast distances. The lakes have witnessed the rise and fall of industries, the movement of cultures, and the forging of connections between distant communities. They are a source of drinking water for over 40 million people, providing a daily necessity that is often taken for granted, but is absolutely essential for life. The lakes are also a playground for residents and visitors alike, offering endless opportunities for recreation, whether it's sailing, fishing, swimming, or simply relaxing on a sunlit beach. The Great Lakes Basin is a biodiversity hotspot, teeming with life from native fish to migratory birds and large mammals. Wetlands, forests, and underwater habitats support thousands of species, many found nowhere else on Earth. The lakes dictate local weather, create unique seasonal rhythms, and influence everything from agriculture to the daily routines of those who live nearby. Their presence is felt in every storm, every snowfall, and every gentle summer breeze. They are woven into the identity of those who live here, inspiring art, music, and traditions that have been passed down for generations. Festivals, gatherings, and simple moments by the water all reflect the deep bond between people and the lakes. But this deep connection comes with vulnerability. The very things that make the lakes so precious also make them fragile in the face of change. The global climate is changing, and the Great Lakes are feeling the effects more acutely than most places. Shorelines are eroding, water levels are fluctuating, and the delicate balance of the ecosystem is under threat. Winters are weakening, setting off a chain reaction that touches every aspect of life, from the health of native species to the stability of local economies and the traditions of lakeside communities. Understanding this change is the first step toward protecting this irreplaceable natural wonder. The story of the Great Lakes is still being written, and its future depends on the choices we make today. The Great Lakes region is experiencing a dramatic transformation, warming at a rate that outpaces much of the rest of the United States. This vast area, once known for its long, snowy winters and crisp, cool air, is now at the forefront of climate change impacts in North America. Since 1951, average annual air temperatures here have climbed nearly 3 degrees Fahrenheit, a shift that may sound small, but has enormous consequences for the region's environment, economy, and way of life. Winters, in particular, are changing at an unprecedented pace. The coldest season is now about 2 weeks shorter than it was just a few decades ago, with snow arriving later and melting away sooner. This isn't just a matter of comfort or inconvenience, it's a fundamental shift in the region's climate identity, altering everything from local traditions to the natural cycles that have defined life here for generations. In recent years, the pace of warming has only accelerated. Between 2017 and 2024, average temperatures have been more than a full degree higher than the previous 40 years, shattering records and reshaping expectations for what each season will bring it. If the current trajectory of high fossil fuel use continues, scientists warn that the Great Lakes region could warm by as much as 10 degrees by the end of this century. Such a dramatic increase would fundamentally transform the area's ecosystems, water resources, and the daily lives of millions of people. The familiar patterns of the seasons, once so reliable, are breaking down before our eyes. Ice that used to blanket the lakes in winter now forms later, melts earlier, or sometimes doesn't appear at all. Spring arrives weeks earlier than it used to, with trees budding and flowers blooming before the last frost has even faded. Autumn, too, lingers longer, with leaves clinging to branches well into what used to be the heart of winter. Meanwhile, winter itself has become a shadow of its former self, shorter, milder, and less predictable. These changes are visible everywhere, from the landscape to the rhythms of daily life. In March, trees are already budding along the lake shores, while in January, snow cover is patchy and unreliable, disrupting everything from winter sports to local wildlife patterns. The resilience of the region's natural systems and communities is being put to the test as they adapt to this new reality. The choices we make today will determine whether the Great Lakes can continue to thrive in a rapidly changing world. The decline of ice cover on the Great Lakes is a dramatic transformation unfolding before our eyes, and it's one of the most visible signs of a warming climate in North America. Each year, the lakes are freezing later and thawing earlier, leaving less time for the thick, protective ice that once blanketed these vast waters. Decades ago, winter meant vast, unbroken sheets of ice locking the lakes in place, creating a landscape of white that stretched to the horizon. Now, both the extent and duration of that ice are shrinking rapidly, with patchy, fragile ice replacing what was once a solid expanse. The 2024 season set a new and troubling record for the lowest average ice cover ever documented on the Great Lakes. A stark reminder of how quickly things are changing. In recent years, ice cover has become wildly unpredictable, with some winters seeing almost no ice at all, while others offer only a brief thin layer that vanishes quickly. Lakes Superior and Erie in particular have lost nearly 3 weeks of winter ice since the mid-1990s, a dramatic shift in just a few decades. With less ice to shield the water, evaporation rates soar, leading to lower lake levels and warmer water temperatures year-round. This creates a dangerous feedback loop, where less ice leads to more warming, and more warming means even less ice in the future. For scientists, these changes bring new risks. Thinning ice makes field research hazardous, forcing many to rely on robotic technologies and remote sensors to safely gather data. For local communities, the impact is deeply personal. The days of safe snowmobiling, ice fishing, and winter recreation are fading as the ice becomes too thin and unpredictable to trust. The once reliable winter freeze is now unpredictable and often unsafe, with warning signs and cracked ice replacing the certainty of past winters. As the system tips further out of balance, the future of winter on the Great Lakes grows more uncertain, reminding us of the urgent need to address our changing climate. The loss of winter ice is an ecological crisis for the Great Lakes wildlife. Cold water fish like lake whitefish depend on stable ice cover to protect their eggs. Without it, survival rates plummet. In Lake Michigan, whitefish populations are near collapse, threatening fisheries and local economies. Warming streams are squeezing out brook and brown trout, with suitable habitat shrinking dramatically. Meanwhile, pests and invasive species are thriving. Ticks that carry disease are moving north, increasing public health risks. The food web is being reshaped, with some species pushed toward extinction and others expanding their range. The balance of the ecosystem is unraveling. The changing climate is not just harming some species, it's helping others, often to the region's detriment. The Great Lakes ecological landscape is being rewritten. The disappearance of reliable winter weather is shaking the Great Lakes economy. Winter tourism, snowmobiling, skiing, ice fishing is threatened by shorter, milder winters and unsafe ice. Businesses reliant on winter activities face lost revenue and uncertainty. The tradition of gathering on frozen lakes is fading, replaced by economic anxiety. Shipping may benefit from less ice, but extreme water level swings cause costly disruptions. Infrastructure faces new stresses, from flooding to drought. The region's economy, once synchronized with 4 predictable seasons, is now unstable. Industries and communities must adapt to a future where winter's bounty is no longer guaranteed. The vanishing winters hit hardest for those most connected to the land, especially indigenous peoples like the Anishinaabe. Traditional activities such as ice fishing and wild rice harvesting are threatened by thinning ice and changing water levels. These aren't just pastimes, they're vital for food, culture, and passing down knowledge. Erosion and rising waters are washing away sacred sites and cultural heritage. The climate crisis is an existential threat to indigenous sovereignty and survival. Local communities, too, are losing traditions that bind them together: winter carnivals, pond hockey, snowmobile gatherings. The loss of winter is eroding community bonds and shared identity. What's slipping away is more than nostalgia, it's a way of life. Warmer air and shrinking ice are heating the Great Lakes, even in their deepest waters. Lake Superior's summer surface temperature has risen nearly 5 degrees since 1979. All 5 lakes hit record-high surface temperatures in 2024. Warmer water fuels harmful algal blooms, threatening drinking water and local economies. Cold water fish lose habitat, while warm water and invasive species expand. The aquatic food web is being reorganized, reducing biodiversity and resilience. On land, forests are shifting northward, with iconic species declining in the south. The Great Lakes Basin is transforming, with new plants and animals replacing the old. The region's ecological identity is changing before our eyes. The Great Lakes region faces more frequent and intense extreme weather. Annual precipitation is up 15% since 1951, with more delivered in damaging downpours. Flooding, erosion, and agricultural runoff are on the rise. Heat waves are more common, especially in cities, threatening public health and straining resources. Water levels swing wildly, flooding coasts or drying out wetlands and disrupting shipping. By mid-century, lakes could rise by up to 17 inches, reshaping coastlines and threatening infrastructure. Extreme events fuel a cascade of challenges, from algal blooms to energy shortages. The region must adapt to a new, more volatile climate. The Great Lakes are in crisis. Vanishing winters, shrinking ice-warming waters, and extreme weather are today's reality. This transformation threatens biodiversity, economies, and cultural heritage. Ignoring these changes is no longer an option. We must listen to scientists and indigenous communities and acknowledge the climate we once knew is gone. Action is needed. Invest in renewable energy, update infrastructure, and reduce nutrient runoff. Support local and indigenous communities as they adapt and preserve their traditions. The Great Lakes are a shared treasure and a vital resource. The choices we make now will determine their future. The time to act is now.